This is Screen Junkies Movie Fights, brought to you by Loot Crate. Now your host, Andy Signore.
Hello, Screen Junkies. I'm so excited for today's 4th of July bash. We have three really big-time competitors who are here to get explosive, I hope. I better see some fireworks today, fellas.
America.
Yeah,
America.
Woo! You added that guitar solo in post, right? Yeah.
Today, we have lots of fun fights. We taped this a little early because we're all going to enjoy the holiday weekend. So, pardon me if we're a little delayed or something broke this weekend. We taped this on Wednesday, so oh well, sorry. But we have I think we have some awesome stuff today. We all saw Genesis, and we're going to talk about what's the worst Terminator sequel. We're also going to pitch Arnold Schwarzenegger's next movie. What should we see Arnold do now that he's back and not the governor anymore, making movies? And best movie explosion. There are so many to choose from. Actually, this is going to be a fun one, I think. So stay tuned. And as always, if you don't like something we're fighting about, don't leave. Just click on the bottom right-hand corner on YouTube and pick your fight. That way you can see all the stuff we got coming, and you'll support us to the end, and you'll see who wins. And you'll be able to check the scoreboard by my great man, Dan Murrell, over here in the Dan Cam, and the scoreboard behind him. Sorry, it's not digital. We're working on it. Geez, you guys are mean and impatient. We'll get it.
Yeah.
We have this because you kept asking.
Don't
it's
be rude.
something. Just bear with us. We'll get it there, I promise. And that's that. So, Dan, you excited to do this today? This is going to be a fun game, right? Should we introduce who's here?
Let's do it. That broadcast school is really paying
Today's
off.
fighters are Christian Harloff, host of the Schmoes Know Movie Show, 4th appearance. Mark Ellis, comedian and host of the Schmoes Know Movie
laugh.
Show, 1 win.
We got rid of the losses.
Nick Mundy,
Sounds
Screen
nicer.
Junkies resident fixer, 5 wins.
See, Christian, doesn't it feel nice to say 4th appearance versus
Did you book
0 wins,
I was
4 losses?
but you didn't tell anybody, so it's fine.
I like your headshot. Did you book 90210?
Shh. Say that. Wait till we're at it. I'm talking to Christian first.
Okay.
I'm very excited to have the Schmo himself, Mr. Schmoville, Christian Harloff.
That's good to be back. Last time was hosting, so it's good to be competing again. And
You did a
guess
great
what?
job.
Thanks, man.
And
Appreciate it.
and we won, thank God. Otherwise, I would have said you did a terrible job.
That makes sense.
No, that was a tough game, the
was
Cinema
fun.
Sins battle, and thank you for taking it seriously.
Yeah.
Next to him, it's the other Schmo. We love when they're here together because that way they get to fight. I love seeing you two fight. Which one's the cute one? Go.
I think we saw the headshot, and I think that headshot speaks for itself.
Me,
So.
then, right.
Nice.
Hey, Hollywood.
Christian gets the point.
I'm already losing?
Yeah.
Hey, Hollywood, do you need a bad boy? Well, check out Mark Ellis.
Schmoes.
He's smoldering and hot.
Hey, Schmoes, what's going on? Got anything you want to plug?
Yeah, the YouTube channel, man. We're about at 180,000. Thanks to a lot of the great
Yeah.
Screen Junkies fans too. So we're trying to hit that 200,000 mark. So if
Guys!
you're watching the show, you like what we're doing.
Go subscribe if you haven't already. Why aren't they at 200,000? Come on, we promised them we'd help. Screen Junkie Film.
I subscribed.
Go to subscribe to
Thank
Schmoville.
you, Nick.
And we got the Ultimate Schmodown coming. If you don't know what that is, it's going to be a 15-week movie trivia contest. And we
Wow.
have-
Including
Yep.
This guy's
These
fighting. That
animals.
apparently I wasn't
You're
invited.
going to be Bobby Heenan. You're going to be there for the fight. You're going to be cheering him on.
Great. Oh,
Guys,
thanks
we are
for-
going to be in a field,
Thanks for that.
shirtless, fighting with belts. There's going to be chains.
Like Anchorman.
Speaking of which, he's right here talking already. But you know him. It's the People's Champ. I've called you that just
Yeah,
because I
it's-
think you are.
yeah,
You're
people
not
like
an
it.
original, the official champ. That's
No.
this man over here, Dan Murrell. But the People's Champ, Nick Mundy.
Hey, guys, how's it going? And I'm
Have you and The Rock done anything recently?
secrets. But I would like to do something new. I'm trying to get people to start making their own stuff, so I want to just give a shout out to Screen Junkie superfan Jamie Rogers. He just made a short film that I want you guys to check out on his channel, Super Wavy Ejective Time. Fix that title for the channel. But just, hey, make some stuff, send it to me. Maybe I'll plug it when I'm
Will
on
you
Movie
tweet it
Fight.
out on Sunday
Yeah,
so
I'm
people
gonna
know where to find it?
tweet it out, definitely.
At Dick Fundy. Go
Yeah.
subscribe. And thanks, Jamie Rogers. One of our first hardcore fans, I would say.
super wavy ejective time.
Ejective Time.
So great. You guys know me. I'm here to keep this honest and make sure we're you guys are fighting a fair fight. It's not about what I like. It's about what you guys. Oh, don't you laugh.
It was
It's not
funny the
about
way
what
you
I
said
like.
It was a
It's
humorous-
about the argument.
I agree.
And Christian, this man knows how tough this job is.
It's true. It is.
So does this man.
Yeah, but-
you haven't done it yet. But back
I'm ready.
off. People always say, "Oh, you pick your favorites."
It's not fun. It's not fun.
as easy.
I
Come
could do
it
this in my
sometime.
sleep.
Before we start, I want to remind everyone, District Lines, we have our T-shirts. Go check them out, Movie Fight shirts. Some of them you've been tweeting to us. Thank you so much. We got them today. We were seeing people getting their shirts in there. It's so, mail. It's so fun to see you guys showing your support. Also, I want to remind everybody about Comic-Con. We're going to be there in full force this next week, Thursday through Saturday. We do have a big panel. All three of these people are going to be there. Some other surprise guests. I can announce now. Chris Stuckman's coming. Jeremy Johns is coming. The Schmoes are coming. Dan Murrell, Nick Mundy are coming. It's going to be insane. We have some more surprises in store, so you do not want to miss it. It's a half-hour Honest Trailers. You're going to see an exclusive Never Before Seen Honest Trailer, and then an hour-long all-star movie fight where you're all going to duke it out in front of the crowd. The crowd's going to be able to pick who won. I can't even tell you how excited. I think it's going to be unreal. People have been tweeting about how awesome it's going to be. Do not miss this out if you're going to be at Comic-Con. Come room 5AB at 8:30 p.m. Friday at the convention center. So thank you, everybody, for support. And remember, if you come see us, don't interrupt us filming, but if you come see us and whisper Hail Hydra while you see us on the floor, doing stuff, again, please don't interrupt us if we're filming. We need to do a job. We need to do the things for you. But if you just see us hanging out, be a nice fan and don't be crazy and come say Hail Hydra and we'll give you a special surprise while supplies last. All right. Everybody know how the show works?
Yep. Let's
get started. Before we do, I have to thank once again our wonderful sponsors at Loot Crate. As you guys should know by now, if you don't, Loot Crate is a monthly service that sends epic geek and gamer pop culture items. Dan Murrell has a few here on display that we're going to show. Every month, you can get these pop culture items straight to your door for less than $20 a month. One-of-a-kind items you won't find anywhere else. And this month's Loot Crate was the Cyber Revolution with exclusive items from Terminator Genesis, Battlestar Galactica, and this awesome T-shirt that he's wearing too.
Yes.
So I couldn't keep up with
you. I can't keep up with you.
But this awesome stuff. How cool is that Terminator?
I like the skull.
I like
Show off that Terminator.
Yeah,
and then what's the keychain?
This is the the chip from Terminator 2.
That is awesome.
I'm putting this on my key ring.
It made it because that's an honor.
Yeah,
that's no joke. They're giving you a serious thing that you're going to actually put on a keychain.
It's going to be on my keychain.
I can't tell you how many keychains I get. Just that I'm like, am I going to actually put it on my keys? That's wow, high praise. I agree. That's really cool and a clever idea.
Dan,
so
you're
anyway,
a great Vanna White.
He is, isn't he?
Like showcase
way
showdown,
better.
right?
So anyway, thank you, Loot Crate, as always. To get your own monthly geek and gamer goodies, go to lootcrate.com/moviefights. And make sure to use the code MovieFights because that'll save you 10% on a new subscription, and it lets them know that you're coming from us, and that means they want to keep supporting us, and it shows that you're supporting us. So go do that, please. Thank you, Loot Crate. Very excited. Now, let's start this show.
Now let's do this.
This is where we fight!
Fight!
Fight.
Speaking of Terminator Genesis, which opened this week, we've all finally seen it, and I think all of you at home now, if you've wanted to see it, had the chance to see it. So we are all going to just, I think, put it out there. We didn't love this movie. Is that fair to say?
Yes. Oh, it's more than fair to say.
Life is fleeting.
Okay. Rather than all just us bitch about why we didn't like it, we wanted to try and figure out a more, better argument. And so I think this isn't the first bad Terminator sequel we've had, correct? I think we've had some other disappointments. So the question here that we've come up with to sort of relate this is, number one, round one, what is the worst Terminator sequel? That's the question at hand. That's what we'll be fighting here. There are four to choose from. I imagine T2 is probably not in play, but hey, we'll see. But that's the question at hand. What's the worst Terminator sequel? And we are actually going to start with you, Nick.
Okay. Well, here's the thing, guys. Few things are as poorly written and poorly acted and poorly directed and completely inept that is Terminator 5. Except one thing comes to mind. One movie that is just as bad as this piece of garbage. That's Die Hard 5. That's right, my friends. Terminator 5 is just as bad as Die Hard 5, or what I like to call the worst movie ever made. And I think the most offensive thing about Terminator 5 is the fact that they basically said, hey, you know those movies you love with Terminator 1 and 2? The little ones that you grew up with, the ones that you judge other movies on? Well, guess what? Screw it. We think we can do it better. And yes, Terminator 3 is awful, and Terminator 4 is a joke, but this Terminator is so bad that they actually rip off the plots and the mechanisms from those two terrible sequels. Hey, Skynet's like some internet software? Where have I heard that before? Oh, that's right. That was the plot of Terminator 3, when Skynet took over the internet and then controlled all the robots. Wait, a human Terminator hybrid? Wait, just like Sam Worthington, who was the old terrible Jai Courtney, who now Jai Courtney's the new Sam
Terrible
Worthington.
Jai Courtney.
That was Salvation. And the thing is, Terminator 5, I could find redeeming qualities in 3 or 4. Because at least with Terminator 3, you had the thrill of, oh, they're doing a new Terminator after all this time. Maybe it will be good. The nostalgia was there. Like before, it was like just ripped away from us. And then in Salvation, while it's a terrible movie, you at least have like the different point of view of the thing. It's not just like a shitty like cover song of a bad movie. And like with this one, it's just like, this is just an utter, complete fan fiction of a movie failure. And
All right, I'm sure you got plenty more you're going to bring us, but I'm going to go, sorry, my order's off, but my number's off, and it's going to confuse me if I don't stick to what's on the page. Christian, you're next.
I don't disagree with Nick at all. That it's not a good movie. His choice is one of the worst ones, but it's not the worst. Salvation is the worst because even his only thing, the reason why it was okay was a point of view. I don't know what that means. It's a point of view of what? Because no one can remember what that movie is. If you think about Terminator Salvation, at least with that movie that we just saw, Genesis, there are moments you can remember the fight between old Arnold, new Arnold. You can remember kind of the replacing and the homage that they tried, and there were certain moments. But with Salvation, it was enough to get one of the most celebrated actors of all time, Christian Bale, to go off in a rant. That rant was because he was frustrated. He's like, oh my God, I'm in a piece of garbage. And another thing is that McG had no business directing that movie. There's no reason a McG should be directing Terminator. And the other thing that they did was, even though, and I'm guessing that you're going to pick the third movie, at least the third movie stuck to a rated R. Salvation was the first one that went PG-13 in a Terminator franchise. No, you don't go to PG-13. And you already mentioned, you made one of my points, is that Sam Worthington was the predecessor to Jai Courtney.
Jai Courtney is way worse.
He's bad. He's bad,
fight.
but was Sam Worthington going in there first? That's the first line of Terminators of bad acting. You get him in there. He's just one of these guys, and it's like
And Jai Courtney made me wish we had Sam Worthington.
true, but at least Jai Courtney had Arnold.
Are you agreeing Jai Courtney was worse than Sam Worthington? Did I just hear that?
I wouldn't say he was worse. I would say they're on par because Jai Courtney at least had Arnold. Sam Worthington didn't have Arnold, and it showcased how bad it was missing. You had a face of Arnold.
I wish we didn't have Arnold, because Arnold was just this cruel reminder of how much he's thrown his career away.
All right, I want to hear this, but let's let Mark get in this fight before we go. Mark, what are you picking?
You know, at least Sam Worthington and Jai Courtney can pay their rent, unlike Nick Stahl, who played John Connor in Terminator 3, Rise of the Machines. This is by far the worst Terminator movie for the simple reason this was the first movie that we did not get James Cameron to direct his baby. He created Terminator from the ground up, and when he departed that, they brought in writers for Terminator 3 that actually did not like. Not only were they not interested in the lore of Terminator, they admitted on their blog and even in the DVD commentary that they were not fans. They thought the first Terminator was hokey. They thought Terminator 2 was a mess. And so when they made the third one, they completely undid everything cool about the first and second Terminator. Let's start with the fact that John Connor is 13 years old when he's supposed to only be 10. That's one of the small indicators that they do not treat this material with respect. At least with Terminator Salvation and with Terminator 5, they tried to do something original and different with the Terminator universe. Here, Rise of the Machines, by the writer's own admission, was a project taken so one of them could buy a house. They completely banked off the name and the fact they could get Arnold one more time in him versus a crappy female version of the robot. And the be-all, end-all of why Terminator 3 is the worst Terminator is that at the end, one of the huge plot holes is that Claire Danes sees an airplane in a hangar and remembers that she is able to fly an airplane at the 11th hour. One of the dumbest plot twists in the history of plot twists.
You said that, okay, my guys might have loved Terminator, but then they just took scenes that we love and then just bastardized them and threw Jai Courtney in there and then made like jokes and cracks in it. And like this serious scene, it's like a bad cover song. It's a bad cover song. And then you talked about having Arnold in there. It's just like, watching Arnold is like watching a family member just go through like this terrible tragedy. and you can't stop him. You can't stop. Like, no, Arnold, you're better than this. You can't do this. Like, and that fight that they had between the two Arnolds was like a cartoon. It was like a big CGI nightmare. And again, like, that's what it goes back to. I would rather have Mick G direct this movie, because this movie had no direction, it had no special effects, it had nothing. It was just a complete and utter nightmare of a movie that had no, it's cool, baby. Like that one, it's like, you know what? I'd rather watch Salvation just because, like, you know what? Hey, it's this weird post-apocalyptic future with some decent actors in it. And it's not offensive. It's not taking away from this movie. This movie literally goes into the other two movies and then just rips it out. And like, nope, we can do it better. And then they do all this time travel shit that makes no sense and then erases the two movies. it erases them. At least yours two try to keep some semblance of what the other movies were, where this one's like, nah, we don't need those two. We're just going to do this other thing and turn it into a YA novel.
No, Terminator 3 completely undid what happened with Skynet and Terminator 2, and they tried to make it this nuclear holocaust that ends up actually getting pulled off, and so you can't even root for anybody by the end of the movie. It was the first time that you saw Terminator be crap. And that's why they had to make Salvation, and why they tried to make Terminator Genesis, is to undo all the crap that Terminator 3 did. Look, all three of these movies have really bastardized the lore of what we loved about Terminator, but T3 was the first one where they just used this great property as a cash grab, and it was an insult so bad that they had to make Salvation and Genesis just to try to get it back on the right track.
I agree with you.
Hold on,
Okay.
Christian, go ahead.
But we're dealing with time. So as far as the argument goes with, the changing up things, changing up the lore, they did it in Terminator 2, which someone could argue is the best out of the Terminator series. And they had to change stuff up that happened in the first one into the second one, and they did that with the third, and they did it with the fourth, and they did it with the fifth. As far as Arnold being the family member that's embarrassed, he was the one redeeming quality of that movie, and the one thing that really worked for that film was the fact that they were able to use when you heard he was cast as a Terminator, like this old Arnold, how are they going to do it? And I thought that that plot point of him being old and him in that relationship with Sarah Connor, what did work. Now the rest of it was an absolute mess, but Arnold himself, that charisma that made Arnold, he still got it. It was there. I was following when he was on screen. I wanted to know. As for Salvation, I was trying to remember what was going on in that movie, and even with an actor like Christian Bale, he is lost. He is lost throughout that entire movie because it's a mess. And you are happy with me, G. You've clearly never seen one of the Charlie's Angels movies. There's so much that
It's better than Alan Taylor. I would take Charlie's Angels over.
Alan Taylor at least had a direction. And what I can say, regardless of what we thought, is that what this movie had that didn't have was James Cameron's endorsement. Regardless of whether or not what you want to say, this is the creator. Now, look, we all don't like that movie, but James Cameron himself, in his lore, the guy who created it, said this is a movie that should have happened after 2. This is the one he wanted. So he basically shot down 3. But what I will say about 3, also,
Did he come out on record for 3 or 4, Dan? Can you just verify that?
I will check.
He definitely didn't come out on record for 3 because he hated that movie was being made because Terminator is his baby and they took it away from him and bastardized
But
it.
3 at the end, Jonathan Mostow is actually a really good director, and like I said, it did stick into the rated R. It stayed, so it did feel authentic. Still, there were some really silly moments.
At the end when Claire Danes flies a plane?
The plane's ridiculous. You're right. But what it also had at the very end was the first time we got to see Skynet throwing bombs, because they didn't push out like a lot of movies do. They said nope. You can't change the future. The timeline, what Terminator's always said is you can't change the future, and they prove that when you see those bombs going off. I've watched that scene
until
many
Terminator
times.
5 until they won.
Yeah, but it's so ridiculous.
But we don't know that they're going to do more
that,
sequels,
which
though. That's
is,
the thing. There's still a way to change it. There's no way to change Salvation, because Salvation is they could from Terminator the new one, because they have 3 movies now that are planned.
Oh Jesus!
I don't want it to happen. I'm with you on this.
We're going to be arguing about the worst Terminator sequel.
Right, but I'm
several times.
But I'm just, if you think about, because there's also this wave of Sam Worthington being your next superstar. Guess what? He was in Avatar. He's going to be in Terminator. Enjoy it, and he's not memorable. Then there's nothing about him as a character. I don't even remember. Was he a Terminator? Was he created? Who knows? And Bale was John Connor, and they blew that.
Okay, here's 3 things.
Last thoughts from you two, yeah.
James Cameron supported Avatar, so maybe his taste has gone to hell because he thought Avatar would be a good movie. 2, they took the most seminal moment of, I think, the Terminator franchise, Kyle Reese's death, which I think is the most powerful moment in the movie, and they turned that into some wisecracking Jai Courtney like parody of an actor. And then 3, at least your movies have Guns N' Roses in it. Mine does not.
Salvation does too?
Yeah.
In a brief scene. Yeah.
A very, very brief.
Final
scene.
thought, Mark?
Yeah. Look, all 3 of these movies are bad, but the reason why you have these other 2 movies is because they tried to redeem something from Terminator 3, Rise of the Machines. It was an embarrassment to the franchise. It messed with the lore. And worst of all is that you have I'll Be Back and you have Hasta La Vista, baby, from Terminator 2. What did you get in Terminator 3? Talk to the hand. Come on!
You don't have anything in Salvation.
Ridiculous.
All right.
Very quick.
Dan, yes.
Very quickly, James Cameron did say that in his mind, Terminator Genesis is the 3rd Terminator movie, and he said that 3 and 4 did not live up to the potential of the first 2 movies.
He had a stroke.
And he also never watched the TV show. So he's been a little checked out of Terminator until this movie.
Oh, that's right. There was a TV show.
Yes.
I
Ooh.
suspect he owed Arnie a favor and gave him that glowing review.
They were quoting him in the ads saying, you'll love this movie.
They're good buds. I'm sure I was like, hey, James, come on. Can you hook me up?
Jim, babe.
Come on, what do you got?
Are we really?
Give me a good review.
Anyway,
Are we really?
He
I
also
think we can
gets
all
the
agree they're
rights
all-
back in 3 years.
Yes.
they're all disappointed. So that's why they're doing those movies like immediately, right?
Yeah.
All good points. All did not live up to the expectation I think that they could have.
What, our arguments or the movies?
The movies
Or ourselves.
based on the arguments, I think Christian really nailed it out the best. I think your point about Bale and the fact that he just ran it on the movie, but also your knock at both of theirs, where it's like Arnold. That scene with those, he's right. The scenes with Arnold, where you kept saying were bad, those were not the problem with the movie, and I think you could have hit harder on the script. Bad boys, what you gonna do? Like, there's so much you just left out that I think you did a
It's
disservice
hard
to
to-
how bad you hate that movie.
It's hard
and I
to
think
remember all of it.
He got you too. It's like that one was rated R, is a little bit more fun. Salvation, none of us. I don't remember it either. What happened? I mean, I did. I rechecked, and I still can't remember who's doing what and what happened. So, Christian gets the point.
I'd rather have a movie I don't remember.
But I actually
than
think
a
I
movie-
like. I hated you. I wish I was rooting for you, but
Yeah, I think an R-rated turd is just as smelly of a PG-13 rated
they're
turd.
all bad.
It was, it was hard to argue against you on that one.
Look for history for the rest of time.
Round 2.
You love Genesis. That's what people are.
Fair.
So,
All right,
live with it.
so we're agreed that Terminator sequels aren't the greatest. Now it's your turn, guys. Are you ready for this? Round 2. I would like you each to pitch Arnold's next movie. Now, I don't know. I still love Arnold. I kind of I'm wishing the best for him. He's a good movie star. He's got to have another one in him that's worth it. And that's what we're going to do this round is pitch me give him a job, a role, and give me the tagline. And we'll start with you, Christian.
Okay, I want Commando 2. Now I know that he's working on Conan. He's working on some other ones. The franchise that he hasn't done. Commando 2 for me, it was one of those. It was when Arnold was in his prime. It was the full blown out chop off your arms, superhero against the world type thing in bloody fashion. That action star doesn't really exist anymore. The one action star that has that potential and has kind of taken over is The Rock. They've had that one scene between the two of them in The Rundown, I think, when they kind of bump shoulders or whatever it is too. But The Rock, even though he is the franchise savior right now and has done so many great movies, he hasn't done that really bloody, over-the-top action film, and I want to see him lead in his own platoon. But what if it was with John Matrix? That's where they had to call the old dog out one more time. John Matrix, where's he been? And it's not as much as say like a John Rambo living in the woods. He's just kind of retired now, and you can even give Alyssa Milano a cameo. Why not? But you have, but they have to go back into Valverde's, which is the fictional country that they had to go the first time. There's a new dictator in town, and this whole team goes in. It's very Predator-esque, to where you have this team, and you can bring in some newer action stars. Not as bad as like the Expendables 2, even though that team was okay, but newer action stars, put them in there, and they get picked off one-on-one. So it's The Rock and Arnold and John Matrix going after the new dictator of Valverde's in a bloodbath, rated R, fun, shove popcorn in your face, lower budget movie, just so we can have fun in action to say, okay, there's the final baton passed over to The Rock.
Anyone else find it offensive that he thinks The Rock needs help?
No, I don't think he needs help at all.
Mark.
My movie is an original piece called The Last Spy. Now, this is about Arnold Schwarzenegger, who used to work for a government agency as a spy, and he's finally retired. He's enjoying his life. He's on vacation when what happens? Somebody tries to assassinate him. Why is he the last spy? Because he's the guy that knows all these secrets, that a new regime in power is trying to get rid of him because he's got all that information. So he has to find out who's trying to kill him, and he's got to kill them before they get him and his family. What I love about this movie is it can take place in a vacation-style area, so you could have something like you could reference Valverde, so you could have somewhere like Predator in like a more jungle kind of vibe, but you can also have him using his spy abilities that we saw so well in something like True Lies. What is also nice about my movie is that it is not building on a franchise already, because we've seen like Terminator Genesis, you bring him back and it's like, it's cute that he's trying to do another Conan or another Terminator, but I don't need to ruin the lore of the great movies that he made in the 80s. You can take a great 80s action star and just give him a role for this time without trying to retread something that is a Commando 2 or another Predator movie. This is an original spin, and it also uses all the talents that Arnold has acquired over the years.
Nick, what's your pick?
Okay, so mine is a sequel to the underrated and awesomely written Shane Black, John McTiernan vehicle, Last Action Hero, where Jack Slater, Arnold Schwarzenegger, who just got done as a stint as a terrible governor, is now back on the force, but he's doing a terrible job now, and he's just basically one giant joke. He's basically cribbing off his old cases, refusing to take any risks, and just basically doing the same crap he did before, just way, way worse. He even sometimes brings in his old cop buddies that he had a restaurant with, and they hang out and do stuff, and it's just embarrassing because they just can't stop.
Would it be called Planet Hollywood?
It might. It might. That's not a bad title. And that's when his biggest fan, let's call him Dick, steals that blonde-haired kid's magic ticket, because screw him, jumps into the movie and sits down with Jack and tells him, and they have a sobering discussion where he's like, stop. Stop being a cop. Stop doing cases that you don't need to do. Just sit home and enjoy your millions and millions of dollars. You're taking your legacy of being a cop and ruining it for all of us. Just please stop. And then you even get like his friends like James and McTiernan and Shane, and they're all there, and they're like, just stop, man. Just go home. Maybe do some charity. Maybe play golf. Just stop making the movie. And so the tagline is, for the love of Christ, Jack, please stop being a cop and an actor, and stop making movies, Arnold Schwarzenegger.
So basically, you don't want Schwarzenegger to be in any movies anymore.
No, but I couldn't do that, so I did this.
Okay, well, I mean, we kind of saw through it. I love that idea. My tagline,
Yes.
by the way, for what it's worth, is because he's a newly retired spy, but he's also Arnold. He's got the one-liners. Retirement's a bitch.
What's your tagline?
It'll take a country again. Now, as far as the franchise goes, the only reason I would say that's not going to work is because I'll say The Last Stand. I'll say Sabotage. The standalone movies aren't working for Arnold. Maggie, not working.
You don't think Maggie worked? He was
not
great in Maggie.
financially.
They didn't, it wasn't a blockbuster
I'm just saying,
like
right,
what Commando 2 would be.
I'm just saying, as far as him trying to get back out there. Now, Last Action Hero is another one. At the time when it came out, it was a good move for him to try to do something
We don't have to
different.
take Nick seriously. He clearly checked out of this round.
What?
I actually love that movie.
Is that
idea.
really a movie, or
Yes.
is that your opinion that he should make a
No,
movie?
that's my movie. This
Well,
is my
Can I,
movie.
may
what I
I,
will say-
Andy,
It's like
may-
Dinner at Andre.
Let me
Dan?
clarify. A producer hat on.
Yes.
Nick wanted to pitch Arnold retiring, and we said, Nick, we want this to be an interesting battle. Will you just pitch a movie? And he told us Last Action Hero 2, and we are like, oh, okay, great. That'll be fun. And then you just made the argument. Nick, come on, man.
Yeah, Nick. I mean, so your stance is he should make a movie. Noted. I think that's a check out.
All right, so I'll go against
So
him.
just be aware
So
that
just
you
go
tried
again.
to do a workaround. It was funny. You got the joke in. Good job, buddy.
I liked Mark's pitch, but if you listen,
But to be honest, I think both of these sound good. So I just think you're being a little of a
And Last
sourpuss.
Action Hero sucks. And I don't want to think about
What?
Last Action Hero at all.
You had me at
ever
the
again.
beginning, and then you just got on a whole diatribe about why you should make movies. Come on, they
But
pitched two good movies
as
here.
far as his movie went, it was a good pitch. But if you listen to it again, he essentially pitched Commando 1. It's what it was, and it's
I
him
didn't
going.
pitch Commando 1.
You did.
No,
It's him. He's got a lot. It's just a guy that's been in the forces before. They're going to go
you
after
did
his family.
say he's in the jungle, maybe like
he's-
Predator
so he's
or
gotta-
in
and he's got-
Commando.
and
Or
he's-
like
and
Predator,
So
yeah.
he's got to protect his family, and he's going to kill them all. It's pretty much what he's done there. And mine is a sequel to that movie, basically. As to
All right.
Real quick, though. Real quick.
I'm calling it because
Would
I
it-
think we got it. Dan, anything you'd like to add?
No. I liked the first half of that Last Action
really
Hero 2
did.
much,
I
and
really
I wanted
liked
to do the
it, and
rest
you
of
could have
it.
Bailed
gone
on
meta with it, and then you just went and
Out of all these
sat on 'em.
movies, the best first half was clearly your movie.
I was trying to make a real good movie. It was like a Dinner at Andre.
No, you weren't.
I
You were
was trying to
making the
make it-
same
You didn't even
point.
mention
Make
the
us look
cartoon
like the
cat.
bad guys.
The cartoon cat
you
director,
were clearly
the detective.
playing. Come on, admit it.
No, I was trying to make a real good movie.
Okay, I'm a jerk.
No, that's fine. Look, it's an experiment. Here's my one issue
All right,
with yours.
Christian gets the win.
Nice.
Earned the point.
How does he get the point over?
Well, he said,
There's
well,
no
I was going to
reason.
tell you, I was just trying to rein it in. He did, because he's right. You're pitching Commando. You are. I mean, I was writing that already. You even mentioned Verdes. But he also said he's right. The standalone Maggies, they don't work very well.
Oh, 'cause
And I
Terminator
think
Genesis was great.
The team up with The
Money.
Rock was an interesting thing. I think
Except
Christian,
you have The Rock.
and
who
I
make
liked
the
his tagline a
Schwarzenegger
lot.
Look terrible and
It'll
small
take a country
and not
again
good
was
actor.
really was
To be honest, the way this question was framed, I did not know we were allowed to use Arnold sequels. I thought we had to pitch an original movie.
Pitch Arnold's next movie. It was
You think I would have
fair.
taken The Last Spy over Predator 4? Come on.
You want to do the exact
All right,
opposite
round
of what-
3.
Just gonna embarrass Arnold.
All
more.
right, Nick, you got a chance. You got 4 more rounds.
I know. I'm fine.
Sure, you're taking those more seriously. 4th of July was this weekend, and to celebrate all the fireworks that happened on Independence Day, Castellian24 have asked us, "What's the best movie explosion?" Thank you, Castellian24. There we go. I always try to say it right. So many explosions to choose from, and I believe we have some visual aids to help you each this time. Is that correct? We do. Don't get used to this, guys at home, but we're gonna try it. Mark, cue up your explosion.
Well, it is Independence Day. We're celebrating the 4th of July, so what better explosion to talk about Then Independence Day, when the aliens come down and they show just how serious they are about destroying our world and taking over our resources by blowing up the White House. Never in movie history have you seen something that iconic.
Should we cue the clip?
Destroyed like that. Go ahead and cue the clip, JT. Oh my! No!
Takes the plane with it. Wow.
That's a helicopter, but
Helicopter.
it's still a vehicle of aviation. So. It's so scary to see that. Oh man, you know when aliens come down, they always say, "Take me to your leader." Here, they didn't. They just blew up where your leader sleeps at night. It's like one of those Planet of the Apes shots where you see the Statue of Liberty, and it always is something like you see all kinds of huge explosions. There's been bigger explosions. There's been longer explosions. But when you explode something like the White House, that is somebody taking a shot into your yard. They're messing on our turf, and they messed with the wrong president because Bill Pullman is going to rescue everybody. But man, what a scary thing to know that these guys are powerful enough to blow up the most important house in the world.
Technically, Jeff Goldblum saved everyone.
True.
Nick,
Pullman helped.
cue up your clip.
Okay, nothing is more badass than John McClane, who's burning, bleeding, barefoot, jumping off the roof of Nakatomi Plaza in Die Hard. And yes, we actually see a dude, I think it's not double, but it's a dude jumping off the building as it is exploding. It's not just one of the best explosions, it's one of the best stunts ever. And the one thing about my explosion versus your guys, you see the visceral connection of a guy who could die in this explosion, where instead of just like a model thing, and I don't want to spoil yours, but it's just a wide shot.
Just cue your clip up. Then we can do
shoot
it.
the clip. Oh. You see him jump, then you see him shoot through the glass. He's covered, he's broken. It's not just a cool shot that you saw like in an Apple commercial and a Super Bowl commercial, an entire summer of 1996 leading up and seeing the White House explosion explode after explode after explode, Pepsi explode. You saw that. I mean, the problem with Independence Day is you saw that shot over and then by the time you saw the movie, because you saw it so many times, it didn't mean anything anymore.
It's still they blew up the White House, Nick.
Christian, let's get your clip on, then we can start the fight.
Yeah, as far as the clip goes, JT, go ahead and run it first, and then I'll explain it afterwards.
I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
It's a cool wide shot.
Yeah, it's a great wide shot because they blew up everything in sight. Francis Ford Coppola was pretty much putting all of his actors in danger, saying, "Hey, sit right there, stand right there. I might blow you up." And he comes out with one of the greatest lines of all time too. Now, I love Die Hard, love that explosion by the way, but it's really cool pyrotechnics. And if you go back the way how fast that scene is shot, you see that they don't spend much time on it. As where in my explosion, it's because it really all went down. No editing, nothing else except look at us blowing up trees. This is the big actual explosion. You feel like it's war. Now, as far as the CGI fest that you were talking about, I think that it's a great shot, and this is what we've come to now in movies. You can make really cool explosions with computers.
It was a model.
It's a model, but it was also done with CGI.
Yeah.
So, but as where this is in the 70s, where it was just no, we don't need computers. Let's just blow stuff up, make it feel like we're in war, and you felt it. Like when Duvall's sitting there saying, "I love the smell of napalm," you almost smell it because it's such a effective explosion.
And then they cut to it where no one's around, and it's very safe, and it's very far away.
We're talking about the actual explosion, all
No,
right?
yeah, we're talking about the actual explosion where no
Best
one's there.
movie explosion.
Yeah, when there's no one there, it looks like stock footage. I mean, and I'm sorry, Tropic Thunder did it better now. When they actually had actors in the scene with the explosion. It's just one shot. I mean, you actually have a guy jumping off a building, and yours is a model. Great, it's not CGI, it's a model. And it's cool, but it's just like, I saw it enough where it's like, okay, when are they going to get to that? There's like so many cooler that's not even the coolest explosion.
Yeah, but I'm not
in that
gonna.
movie.
I don't think that shot should have to apologize for the fact that Nick Mundy saw that explosion 10 times
The
before
world
you
saw
paid
it.
money
The
to
world
see
saw
it.
it.
Die Hard and Apocalypse Now are far better movies than Independence Day.
I'm not saying that.
But when
We're
we're
not talking
talking about the movie explosion itself, it's the top of a building. It's this wide shot. It kind of does look like stock footage, but the impact, you're so up close with the White House, and when you're sitting in a movie theater, it totally overtakes you. Whereas both of your shots, the camera ends up going back, and so it just doesn't have the same feel. It doesn't have the same imminent danger. Worst case scenario is that a dude dies. There's a bunch of cops on the ground. Okay, it's a scary scene in a war, but this is a war for the Battle of Earth, and they just took out our top dog, the White House, in terrifyingly real fashion.
You have a guy, you feel that fear of him. He's connected to a water hose. He's barefoot. You feel his pain. He's scared as hell. He's jumping off. He's not trying to be a hero. He's just a man. And then he jumps off this exploding C4-filled building. You feel this like connection to it. You feel like human connection to it, like yours, where they're dudes just putting shots together. It's just, that's a movie. This is a guy jumping off a building.
You do feel a connection though with my film as well too, because of the setup. The whole thing was that Robert Duvall is scooting that woman and her child off. Get out of here because of this explosion is coming. Then you see the jets. You feel like you are in war because I'm just going off of your guys' points as far as how it furthers the story as well too, and how that explosion, stock footage. I mean, Tropic Thunder is a great point because that explosion was so good in Apocalypse Now. That's why they mimicked it in
and it was
Tropic
way
Thunder.
better.
I don't know because
you actually saw the actors there.
But you're talking about years and years of being able to do more for what they had at the time and what he was able to do and what Coppola put himself through in order to expense all that stuff on his own merit to make sure let's drop those bombs, let's make this happen to where.
Yeah, but we're not talking like if Birth of a Nation had an explosion. We're not talking about how like if that explosion's better. We're not talking about like what was available at the time. We're just talking about what's the best explosion.
So what are we talking about? Give
the
me
best
one
explosion.
Why is yours the best movie explosion? One last piece. All three of you, go ahead.
It's the one that to me, it's the one that has fear in it. The one that what would you do if the building was about to explode and you had to do it? What would you do? How would you handle that? Would you cower in fear? Would you tie a hose around it and jump off the building? How would you feel?
That's one guy's fear when I'm taking the fear of an entire planet because aliens have come down. Hans Gruber's a bad guy, but these are aliens. We don't know what they're capable of. And in one horrifying shot, we see this giant laser shoot the most famous building, the most famous house in the world. And that is the iconic shot that so many other event films have borrowed from. Is it now we got to blow up a famous landmark because Independence Day did it first and did it the best.
It was a model, but there was a lot of CGI used to further it, just to make my
best
point.
Movie explosion, not best realistic thing.
Explosion.
Just for the record.
The reason I think that Apocalypse Now is just going against off of Nick's point to where you do feel that fear with McClane, but you feel the emotion and what war is by that explosion. You see those trees in unison. You can almost feel, like I said, you can smell the napalm. You can smell the napalm in the morning because the explosion is so realistic, and I feel as if I'm fighting in war. That's what it looked like. I don't feel like it was just stock. I don't feel like I need to cut back in order to show the helicopter to Century City in the background because this is how big it is. No, it's one epic explosion.
All right, Dan, any cleanup before I make a ruling here?
Glass.
Well, I will say
glass.
Nick took Mark to task for the Independence Day explosion being in the trailer. The Die Hard explosion was also in the trailer for that movie.
But it wasn't an Apple ad. It wasn't a Pepsi ad. It wasn't.
And that's after the fact, Nick. That's years after the fact. That's not when they were trying to sell the movie.
All right.
No.
All right. Anything else, Dan?
That's it.
Thank you. Helpful. All right. I think.
Christian's shoe came untied during that argument.
JT gives me a wide shot.
I know. Thanks, JT.
He literally
Let's all
was
watch
fighting
him.
so
Can we get
hard.
close up on that?
Dynamite broadcasting.
All right. Nick, I think you took Christian out because I think you were right, and the Tropic Thunder was a better explosion, and I think you just got so hung up on it's a real thing, and it was a fine explosion. But
grasping at straws.
as a movie, it wasn't like the most iconic movie scene. Your two clearly more iconic moments in the movie, reality. So it really does come down to you two.
Yeah.
And I think
Take it seriously, Christian.
I'm taking it very seriously too, because they're both really iconic moments, and you're really on the fear. You're right; it's a guy there, but
Yep.
it really did inspire. You said it, and I was waiting for. Hopefully, you said it because that was helping turn the time. It is copied like no other explosion, and it was in the moment when you're watching that. It was a first time thing. You're like, holy crap! It's a fantastic scene. Models, however they did it, it looks fantastic. It's the moment you remember from that movie, and and you almost were digging your own grave talking about you see it all the time. That's because it's the best one. So, Mark, you got the point.
Oh, thank you. Every time Andy's talking to you and you know you won the point, I feel like a contestant on American Idol when like all three of the judges are giving me positive feedback. I'm like, am I going to Hollywood?
I took that one serious, Dan.
What?
I took that one serious.
Okay.
You did. Thank you,
People
Nick.
need
I
to
took them all serious.
They need to sit Bruce Willis down and
All
say
right,
no
round
more
4.
explosions.
Trying to keep this shit moving.
Whoa.
We've reached July, which means 2015 is already halfway gone. Can you believe it? Can you believe it, guys? We're already halfway through the year.
So old.
Emilio Escobar at Dental Boy 72, he asked us, what's the best movie of 2015 so far? And I'm going to start with you, Nick.
I think the best movie of 2015 so far is a innovative movie that pushed the boundaries of filmmaking, that had a great progressive story and a strong, maybe one of the strongest female leads in maybe movie history, and that's Mad Max Fury Road.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Terminator Genesis.
No.
Come on.
That's the opposite. Terminator Genesis is the opposite of Mad Max, but I should probably still keep talking.
Keep talking.
No, it's like a monument of, it's why we watch movies. It's why we watch things. I mean, the story's like not exactly the most like dynamic story, but it just pushes what like stunts, cinematography, effects, acting. Like it's a great performance. It's small performance. Not like everything like it's not big. It's like they don't make movies like this anymore, and it's just a beautiful, powerful movie that like you don't get anymore. And then it was a complete surprise to everyone. No one saw this movie coming. And it's like the anti-Terminator Genesis. It's the anti-Jurassic World, where it's like, sure, it's like the fourth one, but it's like, it feels like its own unique thing. And I'll be honest, I think we have to promote new and innovative things in a time where everything feels exactly the same. And that's why I think...
Which is funny coming from a franchise reboot.
Yeah.
But I agree. Christian, what's yours?
Well, Nick actually made a lot of my points for my movie because I love Mad Max. It's one of my favorites of the year for sure, as is Ex Machina. But the one that really, for me, this year came out of nowhere, like you said, was The Kingsman. Kingsman came out of nowhere because Mad Max is a franchise. And I don't want to ruin Mark's thing, but there was something that... From where I think
Don't ruin my
I don't want to
thing.
ruin it, but I think that still a beloved property. As where Kingsman, nobody knew what it was, and it didn't have Tom Hardy in it, didn't have Charlize Theron, it didn't have a big star. It had Colin Firth. Yeah, but Sam Jackson's in everything, and Colin Firth is a
But
guy.
it did have somebody.
Yeah.
But they weren't selling.
We do know who he is.
But they weren't selling the movie on him.
Fair enough.
And it had a
They sold his
lisp.
Kangol
And it had a
hats.
lisp in there that could have gone disastrous.
And it did.
And it didn't.
And it did.
No, it did not.
Oh, you're
And-
being silly.
Okay, so the movie itself, when is
Are you going to do the rest of your argument in a list?
I can.
What do we think? Kind of on board.
Okay, cool.
all right? Here we go.
Wait, why does your hat backwards when you're doing a list?
Because I'm doing the Kangol hat.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
yeah, I got it.
Ah.
But anyway, sorry, Christian, keep
sorry.
going.
So I mean, it had all these things. The reason that a movie sticks around and does well is a good word of mouth, and that's what Kingsman did. For the amount of people that nobody knew what the property was. It's like, well, what the hell is Kingsman? And everyone that went to see it went back to see it 1, 2 times. It was ballsy. It was rated R. It shouldn't have been. And what it also had was, even though you have George Romero, who's one of the best of all time. Matthew Vaughn is up and coming, and he proves every time he goes out, he delivers. X-Men First Class delivers.
Kick-Ass?
Delivered. Kick-Ass.
Kick-Ass wasn't good.
First Kick-Ass delivered.
Kick-Ass bad movie. And here's the thing about Kingsman is, Daddy, I'm doing Dusty Rhodes too. The thing about, I think Kingsman, and you talk about
Okay,
like
you take the list.
Look at that list.
ridiculous.
Sink him.
I thought Kingman.
Take a
And
point
it's
away.
just, Kingman is just basically good Kick-Ass. It's just good Kick-Ass. And it's
Wait,
cool.
can we
yeah.
have Mark say
Yes.
his first?
I gotta talk about
I
the
forgot.
list.
I was like, wait, Mark didn't say.
I got a
it.
movie to talk about.
Hold on,
too.
we'll get there, buddy.
Yeah.
Pick yours, Mark, and then we'll have Nick respond.
And actually, Professor Mundy made a lot of my points too, because you're talking about an original take on something in a progressive society with a strong female character. That is what Inside Out was. Inside Out is a movie that, look, we're all adult men who grew up loving action movies, which is why we enjoyed The Kingsman, which had a lot of humor in it, and Mad Max, which is a great car chase movie. But Inside Out has something for everybody. You can look at this movie as a Pixar cartoon that's going to be appealing to kids, but when you look at it as a film, it does incredibly innovative things, not only with the way it's animated, but with the way it tells a story about these 5 different emotions that end up being 3-dimensional characters in amongst themselves. It's so neat to see Joy have some fear or anger, have some happiness, and it's telling such a relatable story about this girl Riley who's moving to a new place with her family and how you develop your emotions through life experiences. It's something that kids can learn a whole lot from. Kids can actually learn to make their decisions based on, am I using my joy or am I using my sadness? And adults can find a lot of humor in there. The casting of Lois Black as Anger is one of the best castings that you're going to see all year.
See, I love seeing Charlize Theron experience joy when they got to the water, and fear.
Furiosa.
Fear with Furiosa when she got there, and when she got shot, and anger.
Max.
Yeah, when they all the
What
women
is
were
this-
trying to get
You're not
killed.
even lisping now. You're just doing some weird accent.
I think as far as best movie goes too, it's kind of even though Mark, your point as far as Pixar goes, because
did. Good. Thank
it
you. Good
was
stop.
it was original. Well, Herman's Head, then original. But
Yeah, it was Herman's Head.
There's been other spy movies too.
But it's true. But it was kind of an original take on the spy genre. But as far as
Let's put a Cockney kid in there.
as
I think
far as
Inside Out is
overall,
the original take on Herman's Head.
and as I love Mad Max, I really did, and I agree with you though too. I don't think it had much of a story. I think that the story, visually gorgeous.
Kingsman story we've seen all the time. Yeah,
Not the way that it was put out there, and from the way Millar wrote it in the comic books, and the way that Vaughn transferred it onto screen, you didn't see that church scene coming.
it was Matrix Revolutions. It was just better effects.
Matrix Revolutions didn't do
to
that.
A Skinner song.
Not
To a Skinner song.
But not in the same way. Not into the effect of what it had on the story. And the score, you talk about a great score. The score in Kingsman, that music from Henry Jackman, you can re-listen to it because it did take the Ian McFlynn and Austin Powers almost too, and did it in such a new way that it's one of the movies everyone talks about now because it was such a breath of fresh air. Everyone was expecting Mad Max to come out, and
they weren't.
They were expecting it to come out. They were anticipating.
Okay, yeah, no. Well, we expect most movies that get out.
Not Kingsman.
We think this movie's going to get released.
People were anticipating.
And you were talking about word of mouth. Word of mouth. Everyone was talking about Mad Max for like a month. But no one could stop talking about Mad Max, and it hasn't happened like that to any movie.
Are you two just kicking Inside Out?
No, I think Inside Out's...
No, because here's the problem with both your movies, that they're visual. All three of these movies are visually stunning, and Kingsman has a nice slant towards humor, and Mad Max is this gritty, futuristic. But look, we've seen post-apocalyptic films that are crazy before, and we've seen spy movies that can be fun before, but Inside Out, going inside somebody's head and not focusing on the brain, focusing on the mental part of that, and seeing how your emotions play out, it's never been done before, especially in such a clever way. This was the Toy Story of the way the mind works, and that's something that everybody can enjoy. Kingsman can be very marginalizing with the incredible amount of violence, particularly that church scene that I found off-putting. Mad Max, the same thing. It's super violent. There's not a lot of story in there. So if you want to go to a movie for story and for originality and for a sense of humor, and you can learn something, the entire family can appreciate it, you want to go to see Inside Out.
It's great, but as far as best movie goes, I just think, and you guys also bringing up summer movies where there's a lot of eyes on them. My movie came out in February, where not a lot of people go to check out movies, and the fact that it did stand out, and that's when word of mouth really helped because it was such a good movie. It was such a great movie, and it turned Colin Firth into an action star. What? I mean, like, you had all these different things, and
it turned Samuel L. Jackson to wearing Kangol hat.
But even that, like I said, it could have been a disaster. But he did this spoof off of Russell Simmons that turned him into this character. And what about Sophia Boutella, who they might have just created one of the next female action stars in her? You believe it? And the great cameo by Mark Hamill. It had there's so many memorable moments in that movie that will stand out as a really fun comic book adaptation but spy movie. And I just think it's the best, most refreshing movie. I loved Inside Out. Great movie, and probably would be one of my in the top 2 or 3, but not number 1.
Yeah, Kingsman for me too. It came out in February where there's just not a lot of competition. It was like, do I go see that or do I go see 50 Shades of Grey? The summer movie season is when it really heats up, which was impressive that Mad Max is able to do what it did. But Inside Out, again, when you look at the way that it had to go up against all these other movies and to still stand out like that, Jurassic World is the monster at the box office, and deservedly so. It's a cool movie, but Inside Out I think is the most complete movie of the year. It's got all the tools that you want to buy a ticket to see a movie for.
Do we actually? Okay, I'm curious to see what would happen with Kingsman if it came out now, because maybe the fact that like it just came out in February and it wasn't complete garbage.
It was a
like,
breath of fresh
oh my
air.
God, there's a movie that's actually good in February. I think the thing is, all good movies, we can't really disagree with that. The thing that I'm looking for in new movies now, where there's so much cookie cutter stuff, is something new, something innovative, something surprising and shocking. I've seen really good Pixar movies. I go into Pixar still
I've seen really good Mad Max movies.
No, here's the thing. I've seen good Pixar movies. I expect to be good, like them to be good in touch. So that was good. And I've seen funny spy movies that look like The Matrix, but
rated R fashion?
Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
Which ones?
Seen, like the one with the guy who played
Lisp.
Richard Grieco. Richard Grieco.
Gotcha.
Yeah, the one with Richard. Yeah, looks good.
PG-13.
What's that kill was good.
Yeah, it was an R.
Still, I've seen the funny spy movie. I've seen the good Kick-Ass. Like that was it. That was a good Kick-Ass. It wasn't a great movie. Mad Max changed the game. Movies will be now trying to mimic Mad Max. This is the trendsetter. This is what movies and films will look like going forward. Mad Max. When you think of 2015, you're gonna think of Mad Max.
I don't know.
You're gonna think of Star Wars. You're gonna think of Star Wars and Inside Out.
All right, they're all great movies. Can we just admit
Yeah,
to that?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
This is legitimately
Hard
tough.
fight.
I need one more quick line from each of you, and not about why your movie's great. I think we've established why they're great. What is the flaw in the other two movies? quickly. We're going to start with you, Christian.
The flaw in the other two movies, as far as Mad Max goes, the post-apocalyptic is a hard sell, especially if you didn't know what Mad Max was before. I know a lot of people that went in to see Mad Max, and it doesn't speak to the general audience. It speaks to film lovers for sure, people who love the Mad Max franchise. Yes, it's a great movie. I love Mad Max. I love the movie, but you take someone, whether it be my wife or even I sent out some neighbors to see it, they never saw it, didn't love it. As far as Inside Out goes, too, it's another movie that works on a Pixar level, but I don't know if it's as far as the overall tones. It's not the happiest movie in the world. It's a well put together movie. It's not happy.
It's real.
But
it feels real.
Yeah, but on a balance between both for kids and adults, I think it caters a little bit more towards adults in this one. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but as far as with kids, the lot goes over a kid's head. Now, can they sit through it? Can they watch it because of joy and disgust? Do they learn great things? Yes, but as an overall movie, not as good as like a Toy Story or whatnot.
Well, all the fun and charm that is in Kingsman won't be enjoyed by any kids because it gets so ridiculously violent at parts that it's going to be off-putting to a lot of viewers who would otherwise be enjoying that story. And with Mad Max, there's incredible visuals, it's awesome action, but there just isn't enough substance there. It's one big car chase, and it's going to marginalize a lot of people. Like, yeah, it looked great, it was amazing, but I need more substance. That's why Inside Out is the best one.
Nick?
Essentially, you have an average movie with Kingsman that doesn't suck and surprises people. And then you have a movie that has substance and then nothing else. It's just kind of like this road trip that's not very entertaining.
As opposed to a road warrior.
No, but
Are you talking about yours or his?
No, to me, I think our movies are almost the opposite, and they're very similar. It's a weird thing how Inside Out and Mad Max are very similar, and this might just bite me in the ass. Because I love Inside Out. I think it's powerful. I think it's important that people watch that, especially kids.
Keep talking.
If I'm screwing myself, I don't care. But it just has this message, but there's not like a great plot to it. Whereas my movie,
What's the plot of yours?
huh?
Mark gets the point.
Thanks, Nick.
You walked into that. You sort of made it happen for me.
I just want a gif of, huh? Please.
I think we can all agree Mad Max is fantastic, but the plot in Mad Max is not what people are excited about.
You're gonna remember.
And I think he killed you in it, and therefore that's why he ultimately got it, because he picked great, and then he just slayed you at the end.
Look, we all wanted to take Ex Machina, so somebody on the panel needs to see Ex Machina, so we can talk about that.
Yes.
Very quickly, Andy. Sir Michael Caine, also a star that was in Kingsman.
Yes.
And for our audience under 30, which is I think most of them, Herman's Head was a Fox sitcom
starring Lisa Simpson
in the early '90s about a guy named Herman and the people in his head.
That's
who
right,
told
starring
him what to
Yardley
do.
Smith. That's right.
Yardley Smith. Hank Azaria was in it.
Get your Herman Heads game on.
Yeah.
But anyway, to clarify, yes, I think you really hit it on the head. Your closing was what got me over with the other two, and I was waiting for you to knock down the story, and you just talked about the apocalypse. So I was
The
like,
story for a second, didn't I?
no,
Whatever.
at your
I'm
end,
being shut out.
that's
I
where
like the
we're at.
Inside Out better.
That was a tough one, because
I'm
they
shut
are
out.
all three, I think, really fantastic movies. You should see them all. It's not fun when we're making arguments about good stuff. All right, round 5. There's been there have been a lot of sequel titles that have been announced recently. Star Trek Beyond, ID4 Resurgence, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. So we thought this fun question. What's the best movie sequel title? So we're not talking about necessarily... we're not talking about the movie itself. We're talking about the funnest sequel that encompasses the movie, funnest, coolest, nice, best title. Everyone understand? Mm-hmm. And Christian, you get to start this round.
Well, you just said it. What it encompasses the movie. The Empire Strikes Back. Everything you need to know is from that title. Now,
Because it's one giant spoiler.
not really, no, because you have the fact that the Empire is coming. It sets up the darkness. It does. It sets up that. What does everyone always bring up when they're talking about great sequels? It's always, it's like the Empire Strikes Back of blah blah blah, and because that title alone made you realize that this is Star Wars. They didn't need to sell it on just it's Star Wars Part 2 or Star Wars this. It was the Empire, which was so menacing in the first one, and Vader and the Emperor, everyone that encompassed the Empire was coming, and they were coming on a mission, and they delivered it. And they did it with, but not overall. In that second movie, and it did. That's what's on the table, right? As far as the title of the movie, The Empire Strikes Back,
It's a good one. Mark, what's your pick?
Yeah, The Empire Strikes Back is a great film. The title, it services the film just fine. People don't say sequels of The Empire Strikes Back of this because of the name The Empire Strikes Back. They're talking about the quality of that film. Another quality film that had, I think, a better sequel title is Days of Future Past, the X-Men, because it is so mysterious. It's based on the comic book series, and you needed something to juice up the X-Men franchise. Days of Future Past, you look at that, and it's like, those are a lot of things that are really interesting. It seems like we're going to be involved in time travel, but it's not so cut and dry like The Empire Strikes Back. Oh, the Empire's going to do well. X-Men, Days of Future Past. It's hard to jump on your head, but that's a credit to the movie and to the story and how intricate the plot is, because you know you're going to be dealing with time travel, but are we also going to be dealing with alternate timelines? Is this going to be just a straight up going back in time? Are we going to the future? It's a really interesting thing, and when you're involving the mutants of X-Men in that story, it makes you want to go see it. You need the name X-Men in there, or else Days of Future Past sounds a little odd, and what the hell is that? When you put X-Men in there, you know you're getting a great comic book storyline with a cool title like that.
Nick, what
Except that the storyline from the comic book didn't match up with the movie in any way whatsoever.
That's the movie. That's the movie.
They just basically they took a popular graphic novel with Days of Future Past and they slapped it on a movie that barely had anything to do with it, just because it was marketing. That the title has nothing to do with it.
What was the name of the topic?
Yeah, best movie title. That's why I went with a title that's funny, subversive, and pretty much makes fun of your titles. It's Hot Shots Part 2.
Hot Sharts?
Hot Shots Part 2.
Sharts.
Hot Shots. Not my week. And also, it's a hilarious title. It's funny. Still makes me laugh after like 20 some odd years. You can't love it. The movie's great. It has a better lightsaber fight than Empire Strikes Back with Saddam Hussein and Lloyd Benson. It's just
Lloyd Bridges.
Lloyd Bridges. God damn.
No. It's President Admiral Benson.
Yeah.
Is the guy's name.
Yeah, that's right. Sorry.
Lloyd Benson was in Hot Sharts.
Yes. It's just a hilarious. It's the funniest title of yours. It's not a spoiler. That just gives away the movie, and it's actually what the movie's about. And it's just not a big marketing campaign. And it's just fun, and
It's not a spoiler as far as
it's a spoiler. The bad guy. It should have been called, "Hey, Darth Vader's probably going to win, and he's Luke's dad."
No,
that's the only way it could have been more spoiler.
No,
Spoiler warning. Jeez.
But Hot Shot Part 2 is hysterical. But as far as Part 2, is it the best title? I don't know. It's
sequel title.
But as far as Days of Future Past goes, what you did is, like you said, Nick. I agree with Nick. You took a great title from a graphic novel, stuck it on. People
Still
have to
a
do
great title,
X-Men,
though.
by the way, because it was
Still
so
a great
long.
title.
Most people, when you heard it, was X-Men DOFP because it was so long of a title. It was so hard for people to say after
What's
a while.
your dad going to think when you're talking about you're going to see a movie called?
I'm going to go see X-Men Days of Future Past.
Get out, play football.
It's too complicated. it's too complicated for the movie.
Yeah, and I'm sorry. I'm surprised so many people were spoiled by like Empire Strikes Back. Wait, the Empire one? How's? Yeah, because it's called Empire Strikes Back.
But it's not.
It's
just the Empire winning. That's not what that story is about. When you talk about, you don't talk about, oh, yeah, the Empire won. Spoiler. You talk about what happened with Darth
Empire
Vader.
just kicks some ass all the time.
But it furthers the mythology. But the actual title itself
is Episode 5.
Is an obvious
it's
title.
Not. It's not Episode 5. That's in the actual crawl. The actual title of the film sets up tone, in that it was a ballsy enough franchise to say, this is where the bad guys are essentially the leads almost. Too.
My movie sets up tone. And doesn't give it away.
As the first one.
No, but it sets up that it continuously.
But you were almost forced to call Star Wars Episode 5. It almost had to be Empire Strikes Back, because we saw the Empire get blown up, so of course it's going to strike back.
No movies have done that before.
Days of Future Past is something where I like having.
It's nonsensical and doesn't mean anything.
I don't like being given what the entire story is all the time. I mean, obviously Empire Strikes Back. I love that movie. It's a great title.
You want a little bit of just like
X-Men. I know that you're going to get some sort of interesting time travel elements in there. I don't need to be spoon-fed everything. I don't care if my dad.
It's got to make a little sense. It could have been X-Men Time Disjointed Justice Forever. It might as well have been like
Welcome to the Days of Future Past.
It makes no sense. And also the worst part about it's like
your movie's literally Part 2.
Huh?
Is your title?
No, it's subversive and it's playing on it and has commentary.
Naked Gun 2.5. The Smell of Fear is a funnier second.
It's not a better movie. It's not a better movie. Oh, what?
But a funnier spoof title.
No, I think it's a funnier movie too.
Well, I think 2.5.
Just gonna fight.
Yeah, there's funny titles.
You've barely been able to criticize mine. I've been able to say many
it's so simple.
It's so simple. That doesn't make it bad.
Sometimes simple is good.
I won that one.
I think Nick gets the point. He got you with the spoiler, and yours was too confusing. Based on the arguments, I mean, you didn't really throw anything back.
Too confusing. Why is it in French?
First of all,
Nick got the point for the record.
Nick got the point. Yes, I'll flip it over here.
Not shut out.
Nick. It's not shut out.
Days of Future Pets was not a graphic novel. It was a 2-issue run in the comic book series. I'm sure a lot of people were shouting that at their computer. And Nick, the movie was tangential. There were some similarities between the comic book storyline and the movie. It wasn't completely unrelated.
Had to do with time and Wolverine.
Also, Star Wars was released as The Empire Strikes Back. All of this episode, nonsense was added much later on.
Great.
That's it.
My favorite line in Hot Shots.
It's a good one. I
Part
thought
Two.
you were going to get it, but I didn't hear it.
War. It's fantastic.
What would you rather watch right now? Hot Shots?
Empire Strikes Back.
No.
Hot Shots Part 2 does
is
hold up.
pretty
I know,
It's on
dude.
Netflix, and I watched it again, and I did laugh.
Pretty
still.
damn funny.
I know
The
the
chicken.
The scene where Charlie Sheen swims by Martin Sheen.
Oh,
Love
yeah.
you, Wall Street. I mean, it's one of the
That
best
was better than
scenes
Armageddon,
ever.
too.
Oh, sure.
It does hold up. Round 6.
How did we lose that?
I would rather lose the whole
It's like
thing.
Jackass all over
I would
again.
rather lose that. I would rather lose the whole thing,
I
but I got
stand
that
by
one.
that decision.
That was a good point.
I got
That was a good
I
point.
Did you agree?
No, he took a shot at that Jackass Superman argument. I was saying I stand
No,
by
but you
that
agree with
decision.
me, though, right?
Doesn't matter what Dan agrees with.
No, that's true.
No, it does. But for time's sake, it doesn't right
Thank
now.
you.
It always matters.
I'm
but
just
keeping the ship moving. Round 6.
I won.
Paul Feig tweeted out a picture of the new Ghostbusters costume this week, and we are on the verge of Comic-Con, which is always full of big reveals. So Stetson Scott Kuda at Fifth Noble on Twitter asked us, what's the best superhero costume uniform used in a movie? Now, I want to clarify this. This is appearance only, not functionality. So functionality doesn't matter. It's not about the powerful.
We're grown-ups.
So it's got to be about what looks the coolest and why. It's not about because he shoots lasers and that's not. It's the appearance only. Also, this is a clue to this week's Honest Trailer, which is a movie featuring a hero who likes to wear costumes made out of certain type of metal.
It's Hot Shots Part 2. It's Hot Shots Part 2.
So there you go.
Nick, you're on. I don't know what you're on today.
don't know what he's
I don't
on,
know
but
if it's on fire
It's
or what.
good or bad. What do you
Molly.
think? I think he's keeping the show interesting. I love it, Nick.
Thanks
Keep
a
it
lot.
coming.
Oh, thanks, Andy. We're here
Thanks,
too. We're also participating.
You
in the movie
all
club.
are, but he's being wacky. Mark,
It's 4th
be
of July. I'm
wacky
wearing
then.
American
Go
pants.
ahead. Let's see it.
I'll
What
be
do you got?
wacky, and I'm going to go with the wackiest costume of all time was the crappy Batman that was the Joel Schumacher ones that had the bat nipples and the bat ass cheeks, and so we needed redemption. We got it with the costume that Christopher Nolan gave us for Batman because it was the most ominous that Batman has ever looked. It's intimidating, and what Batman wants to be is a symbol. He needs to be more than a man to frighten the evil people in Gotham, and when you see that visage of a man who also looks like a bat with the flowing cape, it's the entire package as far as a scary and cool looking costume.
Nick, you're up next.
That is not even the coolest Batman movie costume in the Batman movie history.
Which one is?
I think Keaton. Keaton is like, it's iconic, and that's why.
Okay, that's not your pick. Go
Yeah,
ahead,
but
your
that's why I'm going with my pick is the original superhero costume, which is ironic that I'm going with Christian, is Superman, the Christopher Reeve Superman costume, which is the perfect costume. When you see it, you know exactly what it is. It explains the story. That's Superman. Nothing can ever take away from that. It's a beautiful costume. It makes sense. It's not like full of like, hodgepodge crap and like, trying to make him look like a biker or, have a bunch of S's. It's a beautiful, simple costume that gets the point across.
The S
and
is that
everything.
means hope, right?
And then, no, it doesn't. Not in this one. S means Superman in this movie, not some silly crap. Not some fan fiction. That's a real costume that means something. It's what started this whole superhero craze. I know you love it.
I do love
The only
it.
thing that would be better is Johnny Knoxville's costume, but we're not arguing that right now.
Christian.
I do love it, and I'll give my points as why it's not better than mine in a second, because mine is Iron Man. Iron Man is this could have been a nightmare of the way. This is the first time we're ever seeing this guy. It wasn't a hugely known property when it came out, so the costume had to work, and the way it was developed, and that was essentially the plot of the movie, is how do you develop a costume that's going to work, but how it's going to look awesome as well too, so the public accepts it. Because Iron Man looks like a moron, you're gonna tune out. But as far as you're talking before, he shoots lasers. Whoa, there we go. He's got it's the plate. Here you got as far as where he does shoot the lasers from, looks cool. You got the fact of what his science, the way that he was able to use it, the functionality actually, it is relevant for Iron Man because the way that it's placed and everything that he's did from Tony Stark and what he is as a billionaire, as an inventor, you see it in the costume. It fits the character. It molds who the character is as Iron Man. That's why it looks the best. As far as Superman goes, I love that costume, but if you take that costume now as is, it's dated. It's very dated, unfortunately. That wouldn't wouldn't work for Henry Cavill now. It wouldn't work for a lot. I love it, and it works
because they can't pull it off.
That's right, because Christopher Reeve was the only one to do it. It wouldn't work for a lot of people now. That's why it's still not the best overall. And as far as Batman goes, it was just kind of a rendition of the Tim Burton one. If you would have taken Tim Burton's first, it would have been a harder, I think, argument, because it was the first time you actually saw Batman, that type of Batman. Every Batman that you've seen so far, you can compare to Michael Keaton's somewhat. They still have a similar look.
It's not my guy's fault that he's got multiple
Iron Man was the first time.
incarnations.
Which Iron Man costume? Mark 1? Mark 3? Mark 42?
Mark 1. The first one you ever see. Because those other ones are the same argument.
So Mark 1 was technically the big bulky one. I mean, you're talking.
Not the one in the cave, but the one
that one lasted for 20 minutes.
That
lasted for 20 minutes of a movie. This one, granted, the two of them were terrible.
But the look of it.
And as far as looking cool, look, it's a nice paint job. He kind of looks like C-3PO got in the gym, but I don't understand how that shows you who Tony Stark is as a human being. The only costume that shows the actual mentality of the superhero in question is Batman, because he looks like a bat and a man. It's scary to villains. It gives hope to humanity. You got an alien that shows up. Of course, he doesn't. Look, Superman doesn't need a cool
But what's the difference
costume.
with the Nolan's one and the Keaton ones?
It's
still all. Batman
really,
always looks like Batman, and the other looks too.
The Michael Keaton Batman does. The stupid bat nipples, we can agree that's a bad costume.
But even those was kind of
versions
it's like
this.
of it.
It's like this, because the Batman costume is the coolest costume. Much like Empire Strikes Back is the best sequel. I could also argue Michael Keaton, the Batman that he was a better costume than either one of yours, because Iron Man.
But that's not what you picked. So you
Right.
can't do that.
Well, here's the thing. The Nolan one is better because the Iron Man is just a hunk of metal, and yours is just is an alien who doesn't need a cool-looking costume. He's a super alien with all these powers. My guy doesn't have all the powers that your guy has. He doesn't have all the. Well, he does have all the money your guy has. So he's got a cooler-looking costume.
Well, that was it. He had the money. Absolutely, Tony Stark's personality is all over that thing because he's brilliant, he's smart. The technology is there, and you see the first chance you see of Iron Man when you don't know what Iron Man is, and you see it in the preview, and you see that costume, you go, okay, wait a minute, that's a superhero I can get behind.
But it could have been anyone in that costume, and it could have been anyone in your costume, because your costumes are covering up
Exactly.
most
You
of their
just made
faces.
my point, though.
No, but your costumes are covering up most of their faces. They're like these, like, they're huge giant.
My guy's a bat.
My costume will lets the actor be the actor while
But that's
also
the character of
complimenting.
Iron Man, though. The character of Iron Man,
Still,
he's a
we're
guy in a
talking
suit.
best costume, though.
Right,
We're not
exactly.
talking best
Your guy's
character.
an idiot
right.
because he also just puts on a piece of some glasses and doesn't think anybody's going to recognize him. Batman is
Everyone
smart
around him's
enough
an idiot.
to cover up this part of his face with the costume.
All right, I'm not ready to rule yet. I need one more because they're all great costumes. But again, hit me on why the other two are worse. Last closing argument here, and I'm gonna start. Who started us? Mark, you get to start.
Iron Man, when you look at the costume itself, before you see all the neat powers again, it just looks like a hunk of metal in a wax museum. Your costume, it's bright. There's nothing that is camouflage about it because your superhero doesn't need any of that other stuff. The Batman costume is imposing to villains, and it gives people hope. There's a reason why they put that thing out of the night skies, because they need to see this guy in this costume running through the streets of Gotham, keeping it safe.
You did say that.
Go ahead.
You just say the Batman costume, though. Is it the Nolan costume or the Batman costume? Because I agree the Batman costume in general is intimidating, but the Nolan costume is just another play off all the things that came before. Now, as far as Superman goes, that was made in the 70s, and when you look at that picture of Christopher Reeve, as well as he fills it out, it is made for the 70s, and you feel it as where that's why they had so much problems to look what happened in Superman Returns. What a disaster!
They didn't keep the original.
But no, they tried to. It's been so hard to do a costume that works. They finally found one now with Superman of Steel. Because
the Under Armour one.
But they had to change. They had to change it up. What I'm saying is overall the best is still doing versions of it to make it better, as where you don't have to make Iron Man's costume better. It's there.
They constantly make it better. There's 50
you
of
don't
them.
have to. But it's the same look. But it's the same
They're
look.
just making different action.
But Batman is the same look too. You're
I
giving me
picked the
crap
first
over
one.
Michael Keaton versus
yes,
Nolan?
because I picked the first
No,
one.
you
You
picked
picked
the
the
third
sixth
one.
one in the line.
Technically,
I picked the first
It's
one.
a
You picked the
cool-looking
third one.
costume, though.
But I picked the first one in the line. You picked the sixth in the
It's
line.
got that
Technically,
glass
you picked
stuff
the
that
third
you can't
one.
penetrate.
The Iron Man actual look of the character.
Well, I
Nick,
get to
last
about-
thought.
Okay. The thing, a costume should enhance the actor, not cover up the actor. So when it's Iron Man, Tony Stark, it's covering up Tony Stark, and it's just a CGI puppet. When it's Batman, you see his face, his eyes are covered, there's eyeshadow. Yeah, it's grimacing, but it's a tool, it's a prop, whereas this is a costume. And the costume lets the actor do his job. And the actor that does his job with Christopher Reeve is It creates the performance. It's part of the performance rather than covering up the performance or being CGI with you and the 50 different versions of the costume. And yours, which is basically like, hockey pads and, Under Armour.
Hockey pads.
Well, yeah, the reason why the hockey pads thing worked was because he had a point.
I'm not wearing hockey pads.
All right. Man, this is tough.
See, I could do Andy's
Dan,
job.
anything you want to say?
As far as cleanup goes, or just
you have a second to think while you.
Well, the S in Superman the movie did not stand for Superman. It was the symbol of the House of L of his house. They all had different symbols. So again, just another weird
just
Kryptonian
depressing
symbol
me.
that happened
I don't
to look
care.
like an S. And also Stetson was a finalist in our fan contest.
Nice.
So
All right. Way to go.
congrats Stetson. I'm just killing time while Andy looks miserable. I also loved how misplaced your anger was on everyone's part in that argument.
I
That
was
the
pretty-
least
I got pretty
consequential
heated.
argument we've
None of
ever
us
had.
looked
I was
good
actually
at this.
I
and
don't
the
think I was
most
angry
heated.
in that
You
one.
watch
All
it
right.
back.
All right.
Really?
I think I'm ready.
Okay.
Based on my notes of what you guys were all saying, it comes down. I think they're all great costumes for the record. So that's why this was tough.
Thank
All
you.
three of them are great.
Thank you.
But one of them in particular, as you said, could have been really silly, Christian. And I think you really hit there to the best. It's not the best. Debatable whether it's the best Batman, where it came from, and the problem with the Superman one, which is really close, but it's so dated. And so today that is the problem with it. You were really close though with the whole the face and being out there, but I think you just killed it. That Iron Man thing could have gone so many different ways, and it became
Because
the
they've done so
coolest
many
thing.
different- A guy
It's
dressed
the
as a
coolest
bat?
suit.
Hate everybody.
I'm gonna give Christian the point based on the arguments. Wow,
I went with Hot Shots. I'm cool.
you got that
won, well,
point though, Nick.
that's good.
Sadly, that puts Nick out of the game.
Oh man.
Oh, wow. I'm sorry, Nick.
I made my choice.
You
feel
did,
comfortable.
you did great. This was a fun battle. That puts back me up here. Dan has the scoreboard. We can cut to it.
Correct. Christian
That-
is up 3-2.
3-2. Christian, Mark, you guys are moving to the speed round.
Do it, Mark.
Are you excited?
Oh, good. Yes. I thought I might have lost the whole thing right there. All right. Speed round. Back in
You
it.
you had 2 points and you're there.
Yeah.
You guys
Atrocious
remember
in the speed
how the
round.
speed round works? It's time
you're
for our
looking good, buddy.
speed round. Woo! Before we go to the speed round, let's pause that music because I'd like to thank our sponsors at Loot Crate one more time. Guys, for real, we have to thank Loot Crate because we love them. They're a fantastic sponsor. Please go support them if you want to see the show. The reason we can do the shows is with thanks to sponsors like Loot Crate. So please sign up at lootcrate.com/moviefights and enter the code MovieFights. You'll save 10% on our new subscription. Plus, as Dan pointed out, he's got some cool stuff from them. If you sign up before July 19th, you'll receive July's Heroes 2 crate with exclusives from Star Trek, Legend of Zelda, and more. Ooh, I want a Zelda thing. And a Star Trek thing. So go to lootcrate.com/moviefights and remember, code MovieFights to save 10% and tell them Screen Junkie sent you. Thank you. Good. Let's do this. Speed round rules, as we all should know. So the chance to win 5 more points, okay? The panelist with the lowest points is automatically out. I'm sorry, that was you, Nick, but fantastic game.
Part
we
two.
love you.
Part
two.
Come back soon.
That's enough to win.
Oh, no.
I will ask a question. We're looking for fast, quick answers, short follow-ups. If on any of these questions you both say the same answer, whoever said it first gets that pick. Whoever says their answer first gets to go first. The first player gets 15 seconds. The second player gets 15 seconds, and because you get the chance to rebut some of the things they've said, we will give the first player an additional 5 seconds just to rebut anything that they said about your argument. If you go off on those 5 seconds on something new, I will give player 2 another 5 seconds to be fair. Again, the point of this is so you each get your thing out and we feel like you got your argument out. Any questions?
And to have fun.
It's about fun and stress. This is
Yes.
I've done it. This is a very stressful part of the game. I apologize, but that's why it's so fun to watch. Here we go. Question 1. Speed round. Here we go. Please tell me the best movie captain.
Kirk.
Phillips.
Wow. Okay.
You can win this, dude.
Figuring America, but hey, we got Kirk and Phillips. And time on the clock for Kirk. Go.
Captain Kirk, I mean, he is the captain of the Enterprise. Has done it so many different franchises. I mean, different versions of the movie, and whether it be William Shatner, whether it be Chris Pine, he is the one captain. He's maybe a little bit of sass behind him, but he's able to. The crew follows him through thick and thin.
He's had more movies made about him, but he's a sexual deviant. He bangs other species. He runs his franchises into the ground eventually, so they need to be rebooted. Captain Phillips, based on a true story about a hero, an American hero on this 4th of July who bravely defended his ship against pirates.
5-second rebuttal. If there's anything you'd like to debunk.
There are many captains that have gone out and done what Captain Phillips has done, as far as taking his. As far as taking his. I didn't even finish it. I didn't even finish my point.
Time's up.
As far as what he is.
5-second rebuttal. You just crap all over Captain Phillips.
I love Captain Phillips.
USA.
Why do you hate America?
Wow, I thought Kirk had it in the bag, but I think I gotta give it to Captain Phillips.
Yeah.
On that bumble.
Also, Captain Phillips got his ship back. How many of Kirk broke? Dan, back me up.
I'm not talking crap about Star Trek.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I'm a Star Wars guy, so Captain
Unless I have to.
Captain Phillips gets the win on
Captain
that
Antilles was on.
Would you like to finish your statement now off the what were you
Yeah,
trying to
why do you hate America?
I was trying to go through as far as the movie went, and not the actual captain. As far as what the
many
movie.
captains in
It was
lost
yeah.
in ship.
It was
Terrorized by Somali pirates.
I'll just go ahead. I'll just go ahead and say that I hate the speed run because
Christian,
as I was
will you
going
take this
through
seriously?
it.
Will you
What?
take this seriously?
Yes, part 2.
Okay.
If they had done Captain Phillips part 2, it would have been.
Let's keep this speedy. Number 2.
Can we cut this part out of the show?
Okay. Best movie with the word night in the title, not with a K. Night with an N.
Night of the Living Dead.
Night Falls.
Okay, Living Dead's up first, and go ahead.
Coming out in the late 60s, George Romero made a remarkable horror film on a shoestring budget, and it also advanced the cultural status of African Americans because it was one of the first times that you saw an African American in a lead in a horror movie that was made by white people. It not only brought civil rights together, it was also a great horror movie.
Nightfall has got Robert De Niro in one of his best performances of all time, and even a cameo from Pacino, which a lot of people didn't even know that happens. And you have this whole entire back and forth. There's a crime ring. It really, really works on multiple levels to where it almost even got nominated for an Oscar. There was Gyps.
5-second rebuttal to anything he said.
Sounds like a cool movie. I've never heard of it, but everybody and their sister has heard of Night of the Living Dead, a classic horror
There's been
film.
so many different Night of the Living Dead. There hasn't been a movie like Nightfall since the creation.
Okay, you got your bet because he didn't. It was a questionable rebuttal. I got to be honest. I haven't seen Night Falls. So I got to bring in the other two based on the argument.
I'm pretty mad they didn't do
Dan,
night
do you have a
moves.
statement? Who would you like? Based on the arguments, who are you going to
Based
pick
on the
that?
argument, just because of the cultural significance, I give it to Mark.
Got it, Nick.
I'm mad that none of you used night moves.
Oh, with Christopher Lambert? That's with a K.
Hold on, Nick. Doesn't matter. Night of the
Not
Living Dead.
yeah, Night of the Living
It's
Dead.
fine. I made that movie up.
Did you?
I didn't even know what it was.
Is it? Oh, no!
It's totally fake.
Is that that's a fake movie?
I was looking through. There's a few called.
Wow, that would have been amazing.
I was
Almost gave
hoping.
up one to a fake
I was
movie.
hoping.
There's
I was
a
hoping
few
I was going to
called
get it out of
Night
fake.
Falls.
Worse than anything I've ever done. That is so much
to
worse
do
than
it.
anything I've ever done.
Didn't even know what Nightfalls. Didn't even know what Nightfalls was.
Speed round.
Nightcrawler?
And
That
the
was some
Pacino, why'd you
that was
throw
some-
the Pacino thing in there?
Because you throw it in there and then people are going, wait a minute, Pacino had a cameo? Ah!
That is
JT,
some
give me a camera
serious,
on me.
like Russell Hand Survivor action.
I had to try it.
Wow. Almost. I'm so impressed.
I was
Christian
hoping I was gonna
Harloff
win the
is a
big
sociopath, everyone.
Okay.
One of the fans out there to make a Night Falls movie poster.
Try to
Please
please
do.
make the poster. Yes.
JTE was like, what the hell is Nightfall?
Someone give us a Night Falls movie poster, please. Okay.
You're the worst.
This is. I was
Or the
trying to be on
best.
time, and this is the most longest speed round to date. All right, number 3. Worst movie starring Scarlett Johansson.
Oh, shoot. Lucy.
5 seconds.
How to know when it's the
Time-
book
Night
movie.
Falls.
Time's up. Time's up. You got to it's speed round. Lucy gets
Yeah,
the point.
no, I wouldn't. What was the movie that she was in, the ensemble one with like?
We bought a zoo.
Greg Barron wrote the book. and
Let's
it's
not
like-
keep meandering. We
I know you're right. You're right.
out.
Lucy's awful. Lucy's awful.
Lucy is awful. All right, number 4. Christian, you got a point there. These two movies are in the bargain bin. Which do we buy? American History X or American Beauty?
American History X.
I heard American History X first from Mark. Yes?
Uh,
you got American Beauty.
I can go American
okay?
Beauty.
And we're going to start the clock. Go ahead.
Oh, it's such a masterful performance by Edward Norton and everybody involved. It's a true ensemble cast, whereas American Beauty has some nice performances, but American History X is one of those movies that people continue to list, and it showed in colleges as something to study in film. People thought American Beauty might go that route, but American History X proved itself to be a
American
classic.
Beauty did go that route, and it absolutely was a study in film history, as well as a great ensemble piece, and one of Kevin Spacey's best as far as talk about beautiful in general, what Sam Mendes did with that movie. And then you have Mira Sorvino, who knew she could do that, and the imagery you think of that movie, American History X, great movie, but just not as good.
5-second rebuttal.
I don't think Mira Sorvino was in American Beauty.
Not
American
Mira Sorvino.
History X,
Shoot.
yeah, look, this is the one that it's more depth, more powerful than American Beauty.
Mina Suvari is
Mina
who you're
Suvari.
thinking about. Whether we let that...
I do. Let it go.
Let it go. I don't think... You were close. We know what you meant. It's a speed round. I'm going to ask for help, though, here. And I'm going to move to you first, Nick, because I have my opinion, but I just want to see what you guys think before
I think
make your minds change.
I think Christian with the student thing. I think he proved yours right. Like I think that American
Point to
Beauty
Christian?
study, yeah,
Okay.
on the film school thing.
Dan?
For the same reason, but I fell on the other side of that fence. I went with Mark.
Being that it's more of a...
The meaningful, the impact of it.
The trick is it's a better film, but it's a more powerful message. So
Right.
that's the trick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I was on the fence with Christian, too. I think what you said was sort of unfair, and I think he called you out on it, and it was right. And for the beautifulness and things, I went with Christian. So Christian's on the board again.
For the
That's 2 to
beautifulness.
1.
2-2.
At least he argued a real movie this time.
Yeah, it's true.
So
So,
Christian has to get this to tie, right?
wait,
No, I have
Christian
to
got
get
that
this to
point,
tie.
right?
Yeah. I
No,
got the
sorry.
point.
There's one more left.
Mark
Yeah.
has to get this to tie.
Yeah,
If
I can't see
Christian
the
gets
board.
it,
There.
he wins outright.
yeah.
Okay. So Mark, you win this. You win the game. Christian, you get this. We go to a tiebreaker.
I should-
Ready?
Wait,
should-
no.
other way
If
around.
Christian wins this, he wins the game.
Oh.
If Mark wins this, we go to a tiebreaker.
Right.
Oh, thank you, because Christian came in with a 1-point lead.
Night
Thank
Falls
you for-
Part 2.
Mark needs to win this one to stay in the game. Otherwise, Christian's going to get his first win. No pressure.
I should lose from the Captain Phillips thing alone. It's fine.
Ready for
should.
this?
Yeah.
Best Hollywood Gene.
Hackman.
Kelly.
Gene Simmons. Gene Simmons.
I was thinking Wilder, but
I was
those
thinking
are both
Wilder,
great
too. Yeah,
questions.
that's good.
Hackman versus, I'm sorry, you said
Gene Kelly.
Kelly, yeah. Wow. Okay. Time on the clock for Hackman, and go.
Love Gene Kelly, but just not the body of work overall what Gene Hackman has done. And one of the few people that when he retired, you knew why he was missed. You look at what he's done from roles from Unforgiven to Lex Luthor. He was so versatile that he was able to do movies like that and then flip into something like the Royal Tenenbaums.
Gene Kelly actually does have the larger body of work. He worked for a longer time, and he was so iconic in westerns in multiple generations. I think we're bigger fans of Gene Kelly because Gene Hackman was a great character actor. Gene Kelly was a lead. People went to the movies to see Gene Kelly films, as opposed to Gene Hackman, who was great in movies where you didn't necessarily go to see him.
Gene Hackman was a lead in a couple of films, and you always felt his presence. He wasn't just there like in the background. The guy look at a movie like The Client.
I think that was fair.
I don't think he was in The Client.
Rain Man. I can't. Every time I come up with a title,
Again,
it's really.
It's tough. We don't want to be that mean. This is a good one. I have an opinion. I'm going to call it out since you both have already done yours. I think the body of work, you specifically named it out. That's what got me for the edge, where I just wish you would have thrown me some titles. So I'm picking Gene Hackman. Dan.
I also side with Christian and Gene Hackman.
Hackman.
So that was a close. That
I
means
also
Christian
side
wins
with
the
Christian.
game. That's over, right?
That's it.
Christian, you got your first win on the
Finally,
board.
finally. Thank you.
Well earned.
I'd like to apologize to Captain Phillips.
Yes, please.
You might have won the movie fights, but I think I won.
I lost life on that one. My brain farted a bunch of times.
It happens. I forgive you.
Yes.
But let's face it, guys. A lot of captains have lost their
It really
votes.
puts my whole last action hero.
No one should let that go.
It really puts
should
my
let
whole
that
last
go.
action hero thing in perspective, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I know that was a mistake. We all wish
completely was a
Captain
mistake.
Captain Phillips was a huge
Yes.
true hero.
Yes.
And that scene with Tom Hanks after
When he's
and he
sitting
comes
down
back,
crying, dude, that
and
movie
the
is
nurse,
it's amazing.
That's one of the most, I think, honestly, if you did top 10 acting scenes ever,
I will say,
unreal.
it's going to eat me up too. I will say that movie, what Captain Phillips absolutely
Unreal.
did. Was
Yeah, but also that scene in
American
Nightfalls
hero.
when De Niro and Pacino look at each other. For the first
Hashtag
time.
Nightfalls.
He picked a fake movie and won.
I
No,
love
I didn't.
that.
I didn't
You
win.
won that
I
one.
almost.
You won that
No,
one.
but you won the whole thing.
All
You should
right.
be disqualified.
Thanks so much. We're out of time. I want to remind everybody, don't forget Comic-Con. We're going to be there Friday night. Look us up on screenjunkies.com/Comic-Con 2015 for all the info. These guys are all going to be there. Come say hello. Come watch us live. It's going to be insane. Also, tell us in the comments, as always, what did you think? What are we going to fight? And iTunes, I know I always remind you, don't want to keep annoying you, but please, if you haven't been listening on iTunes and you're on YouTube, go support us and subscribe there. That way it can keep being in the feeds and being strong. We really appreciate it. And District Lines store, districtlines.com/Screen Junkies for our t-shirts. So many movie fight shirts coming in. Please tweet them at us. We love seeing you guys. I want to thank all of my panelists. Right here, we're starting with this man, Mr. Nick Mundy.
Hey, guys.
At Dick Fundy on Twitter.
Hey, man, thanks for having me. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, but I won with hot shots.
But you're wearing America pants.
I am.
They can't see him, but I can. And go America. Good. Stand up and show those off somehow.
Those are great, Captain
I don't know how
Phillips
he's going to do it, but he's going to try and stand in front
You've
of the
already
thing.
won in those
there you
pants
go.
before.
Nick, is that your entire wedding outfit?
That is the wedding outfit
awesome.
again. All right, next to him, Mark Ellis at 5150 Ellis. Anything you'd like to plug, good sir?
Yeah, make sure you subscribe to Christian and I's YouTube channel. We don't always argue. Sometimes we agree. We're almost to 200,000 subscribers, so we want to get over that mark. And like Andy said, follow me on Twitter at 5150Ls. I'll be in Hall H for Comic-Con all weekend, giving you guys updates. Star Wars, Hateful Eight, all that good stuff.
Christian.
I'll be taking my foot out of my mouth on my Twitter at Christian Harloff. And again, make sure you check that out. And watch the Ultimate Schmodown. Watch these guys compete in the movie trivia contest. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Dan Cam
Yeah.
at Murrell Dan.
Nick's here too now.
Wow.
Oh, look
Ooh.
at that. I also want to say, what's sadder? That Christian resorted to making up a fake movie, or that De Niro and Pacino's careers have gotten so far low that none of us realize that it exists.
It's true. That's
Hey, I thought of my
wasn't
feet,
it called
Dan.
Righteous Kill? I was like,
I know, they've done so many now.
Is there a movie called Night Falls?
he was the first time they were
I
together.
think there is a movie
called
called
Night
Night
Falls.
Falls.
Night
But they weren't together in the movie.
I thought there was something called Night Falls.
no.
Please follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Andy Signore. Thank you so much for watching. I'm sorry we didn't know Night Falls. Kudos to Christian for almost pulling it over us. Thank you guys. See you Comic-Con. Have a wonderful 4th of July weekend. Bye-bye.
Every podcast we put on YouTube comes with this kick-ass graphic listing all the topics your favorite Screen Junkies podcasters are talking about. If you click the topics, you can skip around and choose your own podcast battle royale. Go ahead, try them all. If you haven't already, subscribe to Screen Junkies on YouTube to join us for future fights. Or if you prefer to listen on iTunes, click the logo to download an audio version.